Wash your hands frequently using soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Avoid
Five suspects are currently being interrogated in BAMENDA in connection with yesterday's terrorist attacks that left one person dead and several others wounded. Following weekend's attacks in GALIM and BAMENDA, the voices of non-governmental organizations are yet to be heard, a silence that leaves many wondering if they aren't acting in complicity. All is set at the Yaoundé pool of the 2020 African Nations Championship as the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium eagerly awaits to host the opening event come April 4, 2020. And those are our lead stories. Hello, thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. I am Ben Menopufong. 5 people are under interrogation in BAMENDA in connection with yesterday's bomb blast in Commercial Avenue that left one person dead and 8 others injured. The explosive detonated in the heart of festivities marking the 35th edition of the International Women's Day. One other terrorist suspect was apprehended earlier today as the governor and joined part of the population as they went out on the streets for a sport walk against Ghost Town and other acts of terrorism in the city. We have updates with Winston Lebga from BAMENDA.
9 shops went up in flames after the bomb blast of March 8.
5 persons are under investigation. I cannot disclose to you the result of those investigations. We are still protecting the witness and those that are investigating, but we will be timely informed of the result of investigation.
A crowd of people surround a man in his 20s. He is suspected to have been shooting from a hideout as military forces and civilians walk past BAMENDA's Commercial Avenue, campaigning against keeping people indoors on Mondays. The women distributed tracts highlighting the ills of the lockdown and shutdown of schools. A few people have begun to hearken to the call for a resumption of activities on Mondays.
They harass people even in the quarter. Last night I was with my friend. My friend came back 8 o'clock in the evening. He was being caught by those guys, and his hillocks that he has was taken away.
It is a clear message that they are fighting for the devil.
As the workers passed by with music blaring, some people carried out various activities, leaving the authorities with the hope for a bright future.
And the people of GALIM in the West region are still licking their wounds and counting their dead following Saturday's targeted attacks in the locality that left 8 people dead and several others wounded. West Governor Fonkawa Augustine was out at the Gendarmerie Brigade and the police station that came under attack for a first-hand appraisal of the extent of the atrocities, as well as extending the government's sympathy to the bereaved families. Ngu Henry was with the governor in GALIM.
According to the divisional officer for GALIM, Daniel Evung, it was about 7:30 p.m. Saturday that the group of separatist fighters entered GALIM from the Ngokitunja division of the Northwest region. They simultaneously attacked the Gendarmerie Brigade and the police post. 2 female Gendarmerie officials, 2 police officers, plus 4 civilians were killed in the operation that lasted 1 hour 30 minutes.
A group of people, more than 8, came in GALIM at 7:30 p.m. to attack simultaneously the Brigade Gendarmerie GALIM and the post of public security, where our elements were posted. In GALIM, as FMOs, we lost 4 elements, and around the population we lost also four of our citizens. So it makes a total of 8 people who died. We still have some injured people in the hospitals.
After attending the burial of one of the victims, Police Inspector Seidu Sangu in Kuoptamo in the noon, Governor Awa Fonko Augustin rushed to the scene. He was first at the Gendarmerie Brigade and later the police post. Security measures have intensified in the locality.
And reactions on the attacks in Bamenda and GALIM have been quick to come, both from government, the political class, and the civil society organizations. In strong and unequivocal terms, they have all been condemning the acts, describing them as atrocious, barbaric, and utterly inhumane. Cynthia Sabtala sampled some of those reactions in Yaoundé in the following report.
The latest actions of secessionist forces in Bamenda on a day the world was in solidarity with women celebrating their milestones has been described by many as cruel and savage.
For any citizen who's conscientious, who's rational, we must all condemn this sort of ugly, sad, and unfortunate event. We cannot remain silent in the presence of this sort of indecency. We are part and parcel of a state in which the state of law is a principle of governance and government. We can't accept in our patriotism to allow the state of Cameroon to fail.
Beyond political differences, the nature of the crime has also been depicted by opposition leaders as pointless.
The Cameroon National Salvation Party condemns these attacks and presents condolences to the bereaved families. To the perpetrators, they should know that Cameroonians will never approve of these actions. So it is wise for them to drop their weapons and apologize to the people.
The Social Democratic Front, on their part, condemned all the recent attacks against the military and the population, saying it is futile to spill Cameroonian blood on issues being addressed. In the face of the attack at the Commercial Avenue grandstand in Bamenda, many also saluted the prompt actions of the head of state, who instructed the immediate transfer of the 7 injured by air to the Douala General Hospital. Political inclinations have been put aside to unanimously denounce Saturday's attack and stand in solidarity with the families of the victims in GALIM in the West region.
The GALIM attack and the Bamenda bomb blast have one thing in common, and that is their temporal and spatial coincidence. The one happened on a market day, while the other detonated on a ceremonial ground, with innocent civilians being the main target on either side. Moki Edwin Kenzeka went finding out from experts why this sudden twist in the separatist conflict and why the civilians are increasingly becoming the chief target. Edwin?
It was a market day in GALIM. Men, women and children were carrying out their activities in total freedom until the armed separatists arrived to kill, to steal and to destroy. A similar scenario in Bamenda, where women were celebrating their day in total freedom until the fighters again came with another Machiavellic plan. So was it a sheer coincidence or coordinated action?
The modus operandi of these groups is based on 2 referential. One is material, the other one is immaterial. At the material level, they are contesting states' territory and state integrity. And at the immaterial level, they are contesting state authority.
The experts have also seen in the attacks the hidden face of Cameroonians in the diaspora who want to see their country in flames.
The diasporans are bent on seeing that this crisis move on and continue despite government's effort.
Press, most especially like even the ICC and those other states hosting these guys at the level of the diaspora, to see how they can check this massacre which is being perpetrated on innocent civilians.
The attacks are taking a new twist when calls for priceless peace are resonating. That is what Cameroon needs.
Women celebrating their day were denied their rights to express themselves and came close to death as the terrorists hit their target. Terrorist attacks not far off from where the women had gathered to celebrate Women's Day in BAMENDA could be interpreted as attack against the celebration of the woman, gender-based violence, so to speak, and attempts to stop women from expressing their rights. An unjust cause, given that women have been doing nothing but promoting peace ever since this crisis erupted in the country. Beatrice Losamba, in the following commentary, decries the terrorist attacks against women.
They could never have hurt a soul. These women simply wanted to have fun by celebrating, like every woman elsewhere in the country and globe, a feast which gives them a chance to claim their rights. The supposed terrorist attacks on the venue where they celebrated denied them that right. It must have scared them quite a bit, and they needed to be brave enough to ignore the trauma and march on under the cover of the military and local authorities. At its worst, it would have been a tragic end for the women who would have died simply for stepping out to enjoy a well-deserved day. That women should be denied the right to express themselves could be seen as some form of gender-based violence. Targeting Women's Day celebrations certainly adds to the crime list of the perpetrators of this act. Not only do they come across as people who are against children's rights to go to school and enemies of peace, they now have become a bunch of actors against women's rights and violate international laws, especially Article 27 of the Geneva Convention No. 4, which provides that women shall be protected against any attack on their honor, and which also guarantees the safety of women as persons not taking part in hostilities. And since the beginning of the crisis, we have seen the women call for an end to bloodshed. We saw them meet Prime Minister Dion Gute to push for a speedy solution to the crisis, and they have been coaching peace builders. For this, they deserved another good turn.
Territorial Administration Minister Paul Otanganji says there is cogent evidence that some humanitarian organizations claiming to work in the interest of the people of Cameroon have been bought over by dubious networks to instead destabilize the country. Otanganji, in a media outing today, came out strong, hammering that government will no longer tolerate such illegal and destructive machinations and has given NGOs in Cameroon 60 days to submit the report of their activities to the government. Moki Edwin Kenzeka has a summation of the minister's press declaration.
Minister Paul Otanganji vehemently castigated non-governmental organizations and rights groups for accepting to destabilize Cameroon by propagating false information.
The Minister of Territorial Administration affirms here that these NGOs have received over 5 billion CFA francs from dubious networks within and out of the country to 1. Destabilize state institutions, 2. Regularly published through certain media and social media fabricated information to discredit the efficient management of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions.
He said it was rather unfortunate that such NGOs give an impression nothing good is happening in Cameroon's crisis-prone regions.
Cameroonians can bear testimony of many civilo-military actions in the northwest and southwest regions undertaken by our brave defense and security forces. We have all seen defense and security forces giving health care to the population, victim of barbaric actions of the terrorists. We have seen our forces distributing food items.
The Minat boss said time for recreation was over and NGOs and rights groups have 60 days to submit their activity report since 2017 or face the law.
And the government of Cameroon has denounced this silence of non-governmental organizations and other actors of the international community in reacting to the double-armed attacks by separatists that took place in BAMENDA and GALIM over the weekend. Asen Godfred has the following commentary on this rather suspicious silence of routinely highly vocal non-governmental organizations. Asen?
Cameroon has, since the escalation of the Anglophone crisis, become the experimental grounds for cross-border judgments and international barring agitations. Here we are talking of the abuse of human rights, where the perpetrators are discriminately denounced with alarming international condemnations. Thousands of human souls have been perishing in the ongoing fighting between the Cameroon soldiers and the separatists of the Anglophone regions of the country. But observers are yet to know the indicators used by some NGOs and of the civil society organizations to better identify the killing of citizens of the same country at a particular time and a particular place. Yet, they are all human beings under the same sovereignty. The Garbo incident, where several people lost lives, seems to present a different Cameroon, where some non-governmental organizations exercise their deliberate agitations to the top of their voices. Today, it looks like people with illegitimate human values whose deaths at GALIM in the West and whose injuries in BAMENDA after the explosion of 8 March 2020 have rather sealed the mouths of some NGOs and the civil society organizations that have been championing cross-border propagations. We believe it's not yet time to judge, for the judge is soon to come.
And the GALIM and BAMENDA incidents are not isolated cases. Rather, they are two attacks too many in a series that has been targeting the defense and security forces whose patriotism in the defense of the nation and its institution has been tall and unflinching. Kilian Ndandifan now puts in perspective this unwavering and exemplary show of patriotism from the defense forces despite the rising casualties.
The explosion in BAMENDA left one soldier dead. The attack in GALIM killed 2 elements of the police and 2 of the National Gendarmerie, Nyuge Maiva and Bumla Imelda.
These 2 gendarmes, like all others who have lost their lives defending the nation, will remain engraved in our hearts and memories.
This message of the National Gendarmerie balls re-echoed during the Women's Day event, what the minister
We're sorry for that technical hitch that has brought that report by Kilian Ndandifan to an abrupt end. We hope to be rectifying the problem before the news goes. We are watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. 3 months after the passing of a law to promote bilingualism, there is a general feeling that Cameroonians are unaware that their rights to be served in the language of their choice is guaranteed by the law. Reason for the start of a series on the news today to sensitize the population to what this law entails. It reinforces that English and French are of equal status in Cameroon and establishes the responsibility of public and private administrators. Beatrice Ngum, in this first report of the series, explains the basics of the law.
The law on the promotion of official languages proposed by government and promulgated in December of 2019 by Parliament gives English and French equal status.
Just after the head of state put in place the National Commission for Bilingualism, there was something that was lacking, a legal framework to organize the use of those official languages in the public service. That's why this law came out.
The law obliges public, parapublic and local authorities to improve on public service delivery with regards to the reception of service users, provision of documents and speeches in the language of their choice.
Give the state the obligation to fund other parastatal, build up the capacity of the staff. As far as state authorities are concerned, that is to deliver their speeches and all their public address in both languages. All those who are called up in the police, gendarmerie, or who are going to court, if you ask to be here in French, you should be here in French. If you are to be someone or here in English, you should be here in English.
Although it does not directly constrain private administrations, it however exhorts them to work in synergy with government.
The law asks the state to provide some facilities so that the private sector should also be at the same level of the public sector.
3 months after promulgation, the law is still not mastered by the public. Government identifies a need for sensitization.
Cameroon today marked Commonwealth Day with a renewed call for separatists to disarm in the northwest and southwest regions. The call was made today in Yaoundé by the Minister Delegate in charge of cooperation with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu, as he chaired activities marking this year's event. Charles Ebune reports.
At least 11 cabinet members, accompanied by the Commonwealth diplomatic family, plus a portion of some of the 2.5 billion people of the Commonwealth, attend the Commonwealth Day here, featuring a reading of the Queen's speech.
Looking to the future, this connectivity means we are also aware, perhaps as never before, that wherever we live, our choices and actions affect the well-being of people and communities.
To deliver a transformed Commonwealth through connections, the cultural outfits are displayed to showcase the multicultural outlook of the organization.
From sending their children to school or going about their business, terrorizing, kidnapping, and collecting ransom from their own brothers and sisters cannot be the basis for delivering a common future.
This year marks 25 years ever since Cameroon joined the world's largest geocultural club. The lone speech of the day is used to call on warmongers in the northwest and southwest regions to recant the deadly business.
Let us call on all our brothers and sisters who are the parents of secessionist fighters, who are the sisters of these fighters, to embrace the concept of community security and fellowship.
Also part of the ceremony is the award of prizes to winners of quiz organized to mark Commonwealth Day this year in Cameroon.
167 members of the National Assembly of Cameroon elected during the last parliamentary poll will be taking part in the statutory ordinary session of the 10th legislative period that opens tomorrow here in Yaoundé. The General Secretariat of the National Assembly has been ensuring that all the elected representatives deposit their documents for verification before the day of today ran out. Esther Kima-Tabot reports that all is ready in the lawmaking institution ahead of the opening as the legislators come with high expectations.
The statutory ordinary session of the 10th legislature is just a heartbeat away, and the 167 members are set for the events, which will be chaired by the eldest member of the House. The CPDM, with its 139 members, both old and new, still fulfilling the registration formalities, are upbeat that the ongoing process to consolidate peace and national unity, coupled with infrastructural developments, will be priorities during this legislative period.
The scholarization of our people, make sure that our men and women, our youths are employed. We thank the head of state already for measures taken in resolving the Anglophone problem, but we still think that more has to be done.
We desperately need roads, we desperately need electricity, and why not harmony in our area? because we've had some few hitches between our Fulani brothers and the natives.
While political leanings like the PCRN with its 5 members, the FSNC's 3 representatives and 2 from UMS are poised to give a new connotation to legislation and control of government action, old-timers like the NUDP, the CDU and the MDR with 7, 4 and 2 members respectively will pursue their political outlines in debates. The Social Democratic Front is counting on the March 22 rerun in 11 constituencies in the northwest and southwest regions to step up its members from 5 to 15 in order to run a parliamentary group. The outcome is likely to swell up the number of newly elected members from the current 91 as well as the female representation, which stands at 58.
A satellite television channel distribution company operating in Cameroon has, in a surprise move, stiltily shifted its excise duty onto its customers in total disregard of the norms of doing business in Cameroon. Customers who have so been hoodwinked by this dubious operator have since been crying foul, saying the channel provider is attempting to go down the same line some brewery companies in the country had attempted going before they were quickly called to order by the government. And that's the issue on our talk of the day tonight that Joyce Kimbi-Fowajo has been exploring with some tax and business experts in Yaoundé. Let's take a listen.
It's becoming a common phenomenon in Cameroon, where companies are shifting the payment of tax increases to their customers. In 2019, following an indirect tax on brewery companies, it charged it on its customers by increasing the prices of drinks. Same gymnastic was witnessed on tobacco companies. The increase in the taxes of tobacco products in Cameroon was responded by an increment in the prices of cigarettes, with an explanation that it's because of the tax increase. Same behavior is being witnessed as from this 9th of March from a TV satellite company that has made its mark in Africa. The idea of reverting taxes on its customers is not welcomed by many.
Put the taxes on the consumers, then I think we'll cause a trouble. Because people are already complaining about other taxes, so adding that onto that, I think will have somehow troublesome.
So. I don't appreciate it too much because I cannot be saying that if they increase the tax, then we, the consumers, should be paying the tax. It's not correct to me.
Some are calling on the Consumers Association to mediate, while others are opting to give in their expertime.
Consumers associations must take the bull by the horn and fight for consumers. I am ready to cooperate to contest these increases in the prices of products.
From a general view and talk in town and beyond, the shifting of payment of taxes from companies to consumers is certainly a difficult pill to swallow.
Let's go back to Women's Day activity to say the Cameroon Radio Television, the best workers of the corporation for this year have been rewarded, and this came as part of activities to mark the 35th edition of the International Women's Day. The Director General of the corporation, Charles Ndongo, gave the women a pat on the back as he handed the prizes over to them, recommending them as examples to be followed by the rest of the female folk of the Cameroon Radio Television. Details with Alice Mbe.
The laureates were judged following their competency, discipline, respect of hierarchy, sociability, and availability at work. The first prize was handed over to Brin Denise at the Department of Legal Affairs and Litigation.
I feel very happy. It was a very happy surprise. It's the general manager's efforts is to work more than you have ever worked.
No matter the feasting yesterday, the ladies were able to come to work this morning.
I was just so happy. I got up this morning, I was up at the job site to see my colleagues so that we can all share the smiles and the joy. We are actually here to serve people and not to be served. And I will keep on just putting out the job as the same way I have been doing.
This initiative of the Director General of the CRTV is to valorize the women and to encourage them to work harder.
I want to congratulate you for the great attendance and mobilization. I heard all women of all categories put their hands together for the success of these week-long activities.
The CRTV women carried out a good number of activities such as handing over of gifts to orphans, organized a seminar on the importance of culture at work, and a gala match to spice the event was played between the CRTV women and the women of the Hydrocarbon Price Stabilization Fund.
And women of Misaje in the Donga Mountain Division of the Northwest region have marched on Women's Day to call for a return of peace and normalcy in the region. The women are seen as the key voice in the peace-building process in that part of the country. Gerard Nanji reports.
Amidst the prevailing insecurity atmosphere, the women of Misaje could not be left out of the celebration marking this year's International Women's Day. They came out in their numbers like swarms of bees to give the day the importance it deserves.
The people very, very interested in peace, interested in solving matters through peace and not violence, celebrating every moment they have.
From the routine march past, sandwiched with traditional dances, thanks to the different women groups in the area, the occasion would not have been a success without the incessant input of one of their illustrious sons.
Dr. Fu Callisto Singentry is that we are behind him, and he is very generous to us. He has made this day a befitting one, very colorful.
All this was geared towards bringing back life to normalcy, coupled with reconciliation and forgiveness from all quarters in order to forge ahead for a one and indivisible Cameroon.
And female staff of the Cameroon Petroleum Depot Company in Douala chose to spend Women's Day showing solidarity to internally displaced persons in the economic capital. They've also spent the Women's Week reminding themselves of their responsibility to help grow the company. Dixon Ashu reports from Douala.
Their steps and uniformity in parade is really not the concern, but the pride in standing alongside other female folks this day to canvass for gender parity is sure a good cause. A side of humanity that this female staff of the Cameroon National Petroleum Depot Company had earlier taken to the internally displaced at the Makepe Misoke neighborhood to share a brief moment of happiness and of belonging to mankind. Man is defined by his social interactivity, so no better way to show empathy to an aggrieved countryman than such quality moment of sharing, victims of a socio-political plight and others directly affecting girl and womanhood, which these women started to address their own way around a table of discussion. Life surely has its peak and low, but a balance must be met. These women of the SDP chose sports to catch some feelings. Once more, they have reminded themselves of their plight, but also their achievement.
Since 1979, the date of creation of this company, when we started, it was only 20 women, but the woman was only secretary, sometimes in charge of administrative duty. But today, 40 years after, we are now 81.
A special encounter that has brought colleagues from far and wide to the economic capital.
The lady coming from Marwa, she's alone in Marwa. We decided to have those ladies who are far from us. They can know, they can move, they can see their other colleagues.
It is not the first, not the last time they have reflected on their concerns as women and particularly workers of the Cameroon National Petroleum Depot. They once must celebrate womanhood in style, but this, they say, has never been a distraction.
Sports and Physical Education Minister Narcisse Mwele-Kombi has expressed satisfaction with the state of readiness of the Yaoundé Omnisports Stadium that will be used during the upcoming African Nations Championship. Minister Mwele-Kombi was speaking today as he visited the structure to see for himself how ready it was ahead of the opening ceremony of the competition come April 4, 2020. Baldwin Sama was with the minister.
Minister Narcisse Mwele Kombi's visit comes exactly 26 days to the official opening ceremony of the 2020 African Nations Championship in this stadium, and here measures are put in place to respect CAF's recommendations. This is the office reserved for CAF officials, where last-minute arrangements are visible for the office to be ready. Nearby will be a makeshift medical unit reserved for CAF emergency cases only. The presidential tribune has been renovated with instructions given by the Minister of Sports for some cleaning to be done and painting carried out equally to permit this tribune match international norms. For the comfort of journalists during the competition, this is a renovated media center with working equipment put at their disposal for effective dissemination of information, with the same case noticed for the commentary booth, where some renovation work has equally been carried out prior to the competition. Minister Narcisse Mwele Kombi was shown the newly constructed halls for pre- and post-match conferences that respect CAF recommendations, with a TV production unit to be used to produce TV signals of the tournaments. His last stop was at the video surveillance unit of the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium, where measures are put in place to ensure security around the stadium before, during, and after the competition.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television. That's where we'll leave it for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Wash your hands.